Happy opening day, Mariners fans. Colby and I will get you set for the Mariners' first game of the year against the Red Sox coming up here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Thursday, March 28th, 2024. This is Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen here on opening day. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. So like I mentioned, it is opening day. Happy opening day, folks. Happy opening day, Colby. The long, grueling off season is behind us now, and we can just focus on ball. Isn't that great? We're going to get you set for the Mariners season opener against the Red Sox on this show. But first, if you haven't noticed, it's not just a new season. It's a new look for us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Look at it. Look at it. Now, I'll just mention
Trident in the corner. Where's your trident, Ty?
I got to get that. That's something that I definitely need to get, so we can both like do it. We can like lift the tridents at the same time and all that.
I recommend getting the $30 foam one. It looks just as good on camera, and it's not $200.
Is that foam? Is that foam?
Yeah, it's foam. Yeah.
Okay.
It's foam wrapped around like a hard plastic like pole, basically, and you just.
I couldn't tell.
Like that. Yeah,
I couldn't tell. Yeah.
So
as you can see, though, I haven't been able to finish my new setup. I got sick a couple days ago. I'm currently dealing with a cold right now. Yeah. We don't need to go over the details of all that. But and also it's probably a little echoey in here, so I apologize for the sound quality, but I will fix that sooner rather than later. So before we get into our show today, Colby, give us a little tour of what you got going on there, because there isn't a lot for me to show here. It's just like Final Fantasy VII figures and like a signed Julio poster.
Sure.
Sly Cooper's right there too, but you can't really see him.
If you guys want like a more in-depth tour, check out our live stream tomorrow, opening day live stream. We will put the link to that all over our socials and whatnot. It will not be on this channel because we like our jobs and we don't want to jeopardize that. So
we act like absolute freaks on there.
The uncensored opening day preview will be tomorrow on a different channel. But I got Julio over here to my right, although it looks like it's on your guys' left, but whatever. Julio on my right, Griffey on the left, Marshawn running up the middle, of course. Got some bobbleheads, a JP Funko Pop that Ty doesn't have, and he never will. Try in the corner. That's baseball glove right there. Is from 1952. The baseball in it is the foul ball I caught at the rain-making, drought-ending game off the bat of Luis Trins, who is one of my favorites. So,
of course,
just a bunch of trinkets and bobbleheads. Got the mini Edgar and Julio bobblehead in the middle shelf there. Cal bobblehead right there, and got the throwback mini helmet, and just kind of
got some cards there to your left.
Oh yeah, cards on the wall. When this is done, the entire side walls here will be covered with baseball cards.
Nice.
So have a couple of bald spots. I had to go and pick off some Wander Francos and whatnot. So even though you can't tell what cards they are, I wasn't going to have that guy hanging on the wall. So Julio Urias. So Mike Clevenger. Chapman. So had to scrape off a few guys. So that's what it's going to be for a while, and keep tweaking it, but I think it looks pretty good. I like it.
So it's opening day. How excited are you that we're here at opening day?
Opening day is Major League Baseball. Opening day is unlike any other sport. It really is. Like, it's not quite as exhilarating as like day one of March Madness, but it's pretty close. That's the only like opening round, opening day type of thing that I think that really comes close to matching the energy of Major League Baseball opening day. It's a lot about, new year, new hope, and some teams' hope is dashed on day one. Some teams go into the season without any hope. Yet for some reason, we always feel hopeful on opening day. Despite the game really not meaning all that much, it doesn't mean any more than game 92, but it just feels like it's different, and it's the start of a new season. We're all coming outside. Spring is here. Like it's just great, and baseball returns, and it's, you have it on the radio on your drive, or you have it on in the background while you cook dinner. It just becomes kind of woven into the fabric of our daily lives. And opening day is the beginning of that. And so now we get 6 months basically of having baseball every single day, Mariner baseball every single day. So yeah, and the Mariners, pretty good team. They're generating a lot of buzz, not only in the national media, but amongst the Pacific Northwest. There's a lot of Mariner hats out there right now. There are a lot of people that are excited about this team, which, considering where we were, 5 months ago, is shocking.
Right.
But here we are, no thanks to Stanton, Jerry and Justin doing work, putting out there a product that we think could be pretty good. And it's going to be a fun season, but it all starts with game one. And even though it doesn't really mean any more than game 162, it sure does feel like it means a lot. Win or lose, it's just great to have baseball back. But, if there's one thing the Mariners have been consistently good at throughout their entire history as a franchise, it's opening day, both in terms of pomp and circumstance and winning on the field. They are very good on opening day, which makes a lot of sense because the Mariners are known for filling you full of hope before they, disappoint you again and again and again. So it's very fitting that they're one of the best teams in history on opening day.
Right. Yeah, they are 31-16 on opening day in their history. They haven't lost on opening day since 2016.
And there's the curse. Hopefully you don't need a Ty France opposite field home run in late March to win the game like you did last year. But we'll see, man. It's Luis Castillo getting the ball. We're the last game of the day. So, you get to hear Boston people complain that their opening day is taking place at 10 o'clock their time. Hey, just move. It's that easy, right? West Coast is the best coast. If you could live anywhere and you're not living on the West Coast, sucks to suck. Don't know what to tell you.
Who would do that?
Losers and morons, really.
Only idiots.
It's true.
So they've won 10 of their last 11 opening days as well, dating back to 2013.
Even the bad Mariner teams win on opening day. It's really something.
So you've mentioned multiple times tomorrow. Opening day is tomorrow. We're recording this on Wednesday night. Just for clarification. So we don't know what the roster exactly is going to look like. I believe Ryan Divish said that they're going to announce it in the morning. I wouldn't expect too many surprises there outside of the 2 bullpen spots. And
feels like we know what they are.
Yeah, we feel, it seems pretty obvious what those are going to be. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But also, I would expect that we're going to hear something on Taylor Trammell, and we probably already have by the time that you're watching this. Either he's been DFA'd or traded, I would suspect, and probably the former rather than the latter, but we'll see. So let's talk a little bit real quick about the bullpen before we move on here. Who do you think those last 2 spots are going to go to?
Yeah. Just based on the chatter of Scott Service publicly, and kind of how they've been used in the last few weeks in the Cactus League games, it sure feels like Cody Bolton is a lock. And it seems like it's coming down to Tyson Miller and Colin Snyder for that last spot. But we've heard pretty consistently that Snyder is the guy they're going to go with, and Miller's going to be sent down to AAA with the plan of, having him start, not because they think he can be a viable starter for this team this year, but just so that he gets more reps, he throws more pitches to work on the things the Mariners have identified that they think he can maximize and become, the next Penn Murphy or the next Paul Sewald. I think Miller probably earned the spot over Snyder, but Snyder was pretty good after his first outing in the spring. And obviously, the Mariners aren't using spring training stats to pick spots. So, they must feel pretty good or they think that Colin Snyder is a guy who, Tyson Miller is a guy who can pay huge dividends down the line if they just kind of stay disciplined and have him go work on the things they want him to work on. But it's going to be Bolton. It's going to be Snyder. If it's not Snyder and they pull, kind of a last minute switcheroo, it'll be Miller, and everybody else who's even, factoring in, for those two spots has already been sent down.
Right. So also by now you've probably seen our Welcome Back Baseball video featuring a lot of creators in the Marisphere and also some Seattle sports media personalities. So I want to thank everyone that participated in that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Red Sox and this Mariners offense, which was red hot over the course of the spring. Can they keep that up? Can they carry that over into the regular season? Talk about that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. And with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. So forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKDON, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen. And just a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So let's dive into this matchup. It's 4 games set between the Mariners and the Boston Red Sox. And this Red Sox team looks, I'm just going to say it looks pretty mid on paper. They look like they're probably going to be the worst team in a stacked American League East. Looking at FanGraphs roster resource, the offense right now lined up with Jarren Duran, Rafael Devers, Trevor Story, Tristan Casas, Tyler O'Neill, former Mariners prospect, Masataka Yoshida, Ceddanne Rafaela, Emmanuel Valdez, and Connor Wong, with Reese McGuire, Bobby Dahlbeck, Pablo Reyes, and Wilyer Abreu on the bench. And then the pitching staff, we're going to see Brian Bayo in tonight's season opener, then Nick Pivetta, Cutter Crawford, and Garrett Whitlock, with Tanner Houck as the 5 in the Red Sox rotation, at least as roster resource has it set. So what do you think about this Red Sox team, Colby?
Pretty mid, but pretty dangerous. There are certainly guys in that lineup who can really swing the bat. Jarren Duran had a really nice, year last year, albeit not a full season. I think he missed some time, if I'm remembering correctly. But obviously, we know Devers is one of the best hitters in baseball. We know that Yoshida can, makes a ton of contact, really hits righties well. We know that Tyler O'Neill has a ton of power, just raw power, and he's only a couple years removed from a 6-win season. So, it's not a scary opponent, but it is one that you definitely have to respect. They can do some things, and the pitching is interesting. It's not, I'd stop short of calling it good, but it certainly is good enough that it's there's no for sure things in any baseball game, but the Red Sox are not as good as the Mariners on paper. But when you talk about an individual game, anything goes. And this is certainly a major league quality ball club. Even if they are the worst team in the American League West, I still feel like they're a 500 team. That's a dangerous team that if you don't play well, they can come in and they'll take 3 out of 4 from you. So it's, as far as like openings go, is it like a soft landing? No, not really. As much as those exist in Major League Baseball, which is not really at all. But, it's certainly not facing the Braves or the Dodgers or even the Astros or Rangers. So it's a solid opening opponent. It gives us a good chance to just kind of see the guys against quality major league talent. And I think the Red Sox are going to be a team that's probably going to go about 500, a couple games in either direction. And if they do that, there's a shot they could sneak into the playoffs. Like I said, they have some interesting young guys. They have some established middle of the order bats, and we'll see. Trevor Story might be a huge X factor here. If you get good Trevor Story and he stays healthy, he might win 86 games. So it's not a team you can take lightly, but this is a team that the Mariners are better than, at least on paper.
So let's talk about this Mariners offense. So this is the first real look we're going to get at the Brent Brown Mariners offense. And obviously a lot of newcomers with Jorge Polanco, Mitch Garver, Luke Raley, etc. You're getting your first full season of Josh Rojas and Dominic Canzone. This was the best offense in all of spring training over the last month. Do you think they're going to be able to carry that over into the regular season?
Are they facing single A guys and quad A guys in this series? Maybe if they get to the bullpen early, they might be. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna be putting up 9-10 runs a game like they were doing in the Cactus League. And
Of
it
course,
was
the Marine Lair, it's
sure it's
March in
March,
Seattle, et
yeah,
cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah. So, but this is where kind of the new build of the offense is supposed to make its biggest impact. We talk about how important it is to get off to a good start for this team and how they traditionally haven't over the last few years. And a big part of that is when you're so reliant on power, particularly gap power guys, and you try to do that in Seattle in April and May, or in this case March. Ball doesn't carry like it does in July, August, September. So, this is kind of part of the reason they changed the approach. It's a lot more contact oriented. It's doubles into the gap instead of trying to drive the ball out. So I think the new lineup is better equipped to hit well in T-Mobile Park, particularly early in the season when the ball's just not quite flying like it will in the summer. So it'll be interesting to see, and we'll see if how the approach or the game plan looks because it's a different game plan every night. Where last year it's the same game plan over and over and over again. So I think I'm pretty confident the offense will be a lot more consistent than it was last year, scoring 4 or 5, runs a night, and then still having the occasional 12-run game and still occasionally getting shut out because this is baseball and that's just how things work. But I think we're going to see a lot more, stretches where it's 5, 5, 3, 8, 6, 4, 2,
Right.
9 than it was last year. It was like 9, 2, 4, 1, 1, 3, 2, 4,
0.
9. Yeah. So there's a lot more floor to this lineup, assuming they can stay healthy. So I do think I do think the offense is going to be better than it was last year, even if it scores the same number of runs. The Mariners, their issue last year was not that they didn't score enough runs. It's that they didn't score runs consistently enough to kind of know what they needed on a night-to-night basis. So, obviously hitting in T-Mobile Park this early in the year is very tough for everybody. But I do think Seattle is better equipped based on the moves they made to kind of handle and manage the ballpark they're going to play a lot of their games in over the next month. So, I'm reasonably optimistic that the offense will be good, but there's no guarantees in baseball, and everybody goes into a slump, and there's going to be games where the Mariners strike out 15 times. That's going to happen no matter who the offensive coordinator or hitting coach is, no matter how many low strikeout guys you put in your lineup. It's just going to happen. That's baseball. So I think the important thing here is not to freak out if Brian Bayo, if Bayo goes out there and if he strikes out 9 guys in 5 2/3, like it's not time to hit the panic button. It wasn't a good night in particular, but that's baseball. Stuff happens.
All right, so let's get into this pitching matchup. Brian Bayo versus Luis Castillo coming up here in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there is no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. The biggest moments in college basketball are here as the tournament is in full swing. Be a part of the action on PrizePicks for both men's and women's college basketball. Download the app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That is promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen here on opening day. So let's get into this pitching matchup tonight. Luis Castillo versus Brian Bayo. Let's start with the opposing pitcher, Brian Bayo, who is coming off of a really nice offseason for himself. Signed a 6-year, $55 million extension, so he's feeling pretty good. And he comes in as the Red Sox opening day starter following the injury to Lucas Giolito and the departure of Chris Sale and that trade with the Atlanta Braves that brought Vaughn Grissom over, who is not going to be a part of this roster as he's on the IL as of now. So Bayo, coming off of a decent season, doesn't strike out a ton of guys, still a young guy, 24 years old, but he has an elite changeup, really, really good changeup. And I'm looking at his Savant page right now. The first two pitchers on his similar pitchers thing here is 2022 Luis Castillo and 2023 Luis Castillo.
It's interesting.
So what do you think about Bayo, Colby?
Yeah. I like the arm. There's certainly upside here in his profile, but there's also a stat page here that doesn't really like any of his pitches. The changeup was elite, like you said last year, 38 or almost 39% whiff rate. But you look at the sinker, which he throws pretty hard, 95 miles an hour. Opponents at 278 with a 435 slug. The four seamer, 310 with a 646 slug. So it seems like Bayo's problem is that he doesn't get a ton of fastball value. He doesn't get enough out of that pitch. And so it's really tough to be consistently good if your best pitch is your changeup, but you don't have the fastball to back it up, or you don't have the command to back it up. So I like Bayo. He's an interesting dude. He's a heavy ground ball pitcher, but there are some opportunities here where you can really take advantage. He's not a huge strikeout guy, although he will get some. And his walks, really good last year, really solid. Year before, not so good. So we'll have to watch and see what the command looks like early. But again, the changeup is elite. It's one of the best pitches in baseball. And so we'll have to see how the Mariners left-handed hitters in particular handle that pitch. But 95, 96, 97 with a really good changeup, and then we'll see what he can get out of his breaking stuff. But this is a guy, he's going to give you hittable pitches. He's going to give you an opportunity to string some hits against him. But he's also always one pitch away from getting out of it because he is such a heavy ground ball guy. So you got to stay disciplined. You got to try and get him up in the zone. And when he throws you that two seamer in the middle of the plate, you can't miss it.
So now let's talk about the Rock, right? Luis Castillo. It sticks in the mind of a lot of Mariners fans the last couple starts there towards the end of the year and how much he struggled. But obviously, this is your guy, right? This is the guy that you go to war with. And obviously, he's come through in some really big spots for the Mariners, and hopefully he's able to set the tone starting tonight here for the rest of the season. But some tough lefties in this Red Sox lineup, like we mentioned, Duran, Devers, Casas, Yoshida. So what do you think about Castillo, and what would you like to see him do, and how far would you like to see him go in this game?
Complete game shutout is the only acceptable outcome for Luis Castillo,
Something
obviously.
bar high to start the year.
I mean, it's only high if you think you can't reach it. So Castillo, obviously, the big thing with Castillo is that he's a different guy when he goes into the windup versus when he's pitching with nobody on base. So you can't walk guys, right? Guys have to earn their way on. The good news is that the fastball velo, at least in Arizona, was 95, 96, 97, occasionally 98, 99, pretty much all spring, which is something that Castillo has kind of eased into his velocity throughout his entire career. But this year it seems to already be here. Now he might, kind of throttle back a little bit because the weather's going to be a little colder and all that stuff. But hopefully he's, at least 94, 95 with the good run on the fastball. And then the pitch I saw from Castillo this spring, and again, very small sample size, and who knows if it's going to carry over. But I actually saw him bring back the changeup, which used to be his best pitch, and it was very good this spring. So if you can carry that is how you counteract those lefties. You bust them inside with your 97 mile an hour fastball, and then you drop that pretty changeup on them. If Castillo has his fastballs, then he only needs one of the changeup or the slider to really be able to dominate this lineup. But obviously, again, control command like it is with every pitcher, avoiding walks, but getting to that changeup, getting the whiffs on that pitch. I think that is how you're going to have success against, a pretty decent Red Sox lineup. So, if he can go 6 innings, that would be great. It's early, so they're going to protect pitch counts a little bit. I'd be shocked if they pushed them to 100 pitches. So walks have, a double disadvantage here. Not only do you give away a free base, but you also kind of jack up your pitch count on, your first start when the Mariners are going to be a little bit cautious. They're going to be more cautious in this start than they will in July. So, I think he's going to sit 85 to 90 pitches, somewhere in that range. Hopefully he can get through 6 and you can kind of piece it together at the back end. Play a lot of matchup with all those lefties in the lineup with your Gabe Spire and your Taylor Saucedo, and get into Stanek and Munoz, or, you just blow them out and not have to worry about who pitches the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Nice. That works too.
Yeah, that would certainly be nice, but very excited to see Luis pitch again. The Mariners looking for their 8th straight opening day victory. We'll see if they're able to get it. Before we get out of here, question for you guys down in the comments below. Do you guys have any opening day traditions? And Colby, do you have any opening day traditions?
No, I mostly don't watch baseball until the Mariners come on.
Really? I'm the complete opposite. I watch basically every game that's on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first game that was supposed to be on ESPN, Mets Marlins, I think, they got postponed. So no games in the morning. First game is at 12 o'clock our time now. So not till 3 o'clock for you. Will you get to watch baseball? So, but on the plus side, you get to stay up till 3 a.m. watching baseball. So win-win. West Coast for the win.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
So one thing that I did see, or I did, come across when I was coaching baseball is there was a kid who played baseball for the school, and he really good player. Really nice kid. Every opening day, his dad would take him out of school and they would just sit at home and watch baseball all day.
That's great.
That's what they did. From the time they woke up to the time he went to bed, they ended on the Mariners game or whatever, and they just watch baseball all day. That's how they bond. And I think that's a really cool tradition. So I myself don't have any. It's mostly kind of, scrambling around to see if anything cool is happening in all the games and checking StatCast a little often to see if anything, pops up or anything surprises me. But no, I'm kind of, I don't sit down and watch every single pitch of every single game. It's just kind of a lot of nervous energy before the Mariners first game. And so, I'll probably do some cooking, do some, watch some YouTube videos and just kind of try and unhype myself for opening day. But, it's here and that's exciting. And it wears off pretty quick, the thrill of the new season, and you get right back into that grind mentality pretty much after this weekend, more or less. So, it's fun for us, but opening day is something that's different for a lot of fans, and it's different for us as content creators. It's kind of like it's baseball before the grind starts to set in, and you're kind of like, you're dragging a little bit, and you're like, we're going to talk about the same thing we've talked about for 3 days because this team's not hitting, and they've only scored 8 runs in the last 3 games, and it's just
had a lot of that last year.
Yeah. Is it time to fire the hitting coach? That'll fix it.
Can't wait for those questions. Can't wait for
over under May 20th before we get our first serious. Should they fire the hitting coach?
Under. It'll be after the first week if they struggle.
If they drop 3 or 4 to Boston, it's going to be like,
it's going to
got to fire Scott Service.
Yeah, it's going to be next Monday for Mailbag Monday. We're going to get that question. So that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Before we get out of here, once again, a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Dane Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Ty Dane Gonzalez and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.